Morning, Tom. Okay, seems like most people have joined now, numbers are stabilizing. So morning, everyone. Welcome to the ODP Products Public Show and Tell. My name is Celia. I'm part of the planning software team at MHCLG. So before we start, some general housekeeping. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on YouTube after the session. Other recordings or transcriptions are permitted for accessibility purposes only. If you do not wish to be recorded, please feel free to switch your camera off. If you are using transcription or recording software, please can you ensure it's turned off and removed at the end of the session? If not, we may need to remove it to end the meeting. I will just put that in the chat as well for anybody who might join late. Okay, so for anyone who's new here, here is a quick overview, a quick reminder of who we are and why it is that we're here. Today's session is a chance to showcase the products and share developments that the teams have been working on over the last few weeks and months. We have got a fairly light agenda today, which means there's plenty of time for questions and comments. So please feel free to put your hand up or stick a question in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to the team at BOPS, the team working on BOPS. First of all, over to Ed. Are you okay to share your screen?
All my slides are in this deck, so if
Yeah,
you're all right to continue,
of
that would be fantastic. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ed Arnold. I work at Buckinghamshire Council as a lead digital officer and have been on the BOPS project for coming up 4.5 years now, and talk a little bit about working in the open and the benefits of that, and some of the things that we've seen, and some of my thoughts on where this might go in the future, and some of the things we need to look out for with working in the open and our standards. So working in the open for us, it does a number of things. First, it builds trust. Everybody on this project and anybody looking in can see everything that we're doing, so that's important. It fosters collaboration. The collaboration between local authorities in the ODP community has been absolutely outstanding. I can't stress enough how good it's been to have that collaboration and all the voices and input from everybody in planning from all those authorities. It accelerates innovation. We have that collaboration, and the things that we've been able to do on this project over the last 4 or 5 years has been phenomenal in terms of delivery and changing how planning is done and the digital side of it. It attracts lots of new talent. Again, it all goes back to that collaboration, but we see so many talented people from so many different places that we wouldn't normally get to work with. So that's really important. It allows others to build on our work. So everything we're doing is publicly available. It's published, it's there. All the research we've done, all of our learning, all of our successes and our failures are there. So anybody who's looking at doing anything digital has this huge wealth of information to hand, which speeds up that delivery again. So if we can move on to the next slide. One of the parts of working in the open is it's all open source code that's being generated. It's there, it's in the public domain, hosted on a GitHub. And within there's absolutely everything you need to know about the code and the software and the product and how to use that. If you have the technical know-how, it's well beyond me, that's for sure, but it's there. And if we move on to the next slide, we've actually got an example of where this open source code has been taken by some very brilliant people at Cabinet Office who have used the NDX try service from AWS. And they've actually created not only a walkthrough so you can see BOPS and the functionality in it, you have the capability of, and this is going to be very non-technical, spinning up your own instance. So you can actually, that code has been taken and hosted in a way that you can create your own instance of BOPS to actually open it up and have that full piece of software available, and you can use it and try it and see it in action. Thank you, Tom, for sharing that link. So this is really beginning to show how important this project is and the capabilities and the things that can happen from it. If we move on to the next slide. So I'm going to move into a little bit of a history lesson around submissions of planning applications. So in 2003, we had our first electronic planning application submitted. So it's 23 years ago when this digital journey really started for planning. 2007 saw the introduction of the One App system. So this is a submission system that allowed digital planning applications to be submitted rather than being emailed or hard copy. 2010, we saw electronic submissions becoming dominant. So emails and hard copies were beginning to dwindle in numbers. We also saw in the market a small number of submission platforms. There were some that came into the market and some that have left in the 10 years to 2022. So I think iApply would be one of those. Obviously, we've got Planning Portal, who are still there and taking a majority of applications. 2020, something happened around that time, but email submissions continued to decline. And I think COVID pretty much saw the end of hard copy submissions for most local authorities. So we're almost at the point in 2020 where email submissions were being phased out, or they could have been phased out. And then brings us up to 2026. And what we're seeing now is a lot of new submission providers starting to enter the marketplace. So there's been another shift in that. And if we move on to the next slide, we'll just have a little bit of where we started with planning applications. Well, it was all hard copy with this hugely manual process and then something going into a back office system. And if we go on to the next slide. So where we were probably a year or 2 years ago, we had electronic transmissions of applications going direct into back office systems. That's around 90%. And then the rest of it was made up for email to LPA, which then had a manual process to load it into that system, and hard copy, which again was a manual process and then into the back office system. So we begin to see the importance of digital and how it reduces that burden on local authorities admin. So if we move on to the next slide, there's a little bit of where we are now. So we've kind of got additional flow of work coming in from these new platforms that are beginning to appear. So PlanX would be one of them. Planner is the most recent that's entered the marketplace, to my knowledge. One of the issues that I feel could be brewing with this is the more third-party providers that begin to enter the marketplace, the more strain we're going to see. And it's almost going to be a regression on digital, because at the moment, the easiest route for those applications to come in is via email. So if we move on to the next slide, part of what we're doing in BOPS is open APIs. So we've got open APIs and standards, and these are shared on Swagger. Post the link for that before the end of this meeting. One of the advantages of these open APIs is there's no need for data scraping. So many people might be aware or not that there are a number of platforms that currently scrape data from public access and other portals that local authorities run. One of the issues of this is it slows these platforms down. So that sheer load of machines scraping data, opening that website creates friction for other users of the service. It improves innovation as well. So having our APIs open, people can connect to our data. So if somebody wanted to create a planning interface for members of the public, they can connect to that data without scraping. It makes it quick, easy, and very cost effective. So yeah, as I was talking about Plander, the recent example with that we've had is they contacted us a couple of weeks ago and introduced themselves after a brief conversation and pointing them in the direction of our API and data schemas. I think it was within a couple of days they'd done the work necessary to connect to the back office system, and we did receive a planning application from them. So this is an actual working example of where changing how we receive and share data reduces the speed of delivery. So within days, and with relatively little cost to them and no cost to us, they are able to submit planning applications directly into the system, which, going back to that previous slide with all of the routes into the local authority, it gets rid of that manual work. So yeah, that's next slide, I think, is all from me. I'm going to hand over to Laura from BOPS.
Thanks, Ed. Hi everyone, my name is Laura Smith. I'm one of the designers at Unboxed. I've been working on BOPS on and off for the last 2 years. I'm going to just talk about a different aspect of working in the open. So we've been doing a bit of work to share some of our design history from the last 5 years, where we've been working with planning teams across the country. We've always wanted to share this learning with other teams, particularly those developing back office services in government and beyond. Next slide, please. So there's a range of people we hope this might be useful for. So any product, service, or UX designers who are working in planning or services that are related to planning in local government or in central government. We've learned a lot of lessons around adapting the gov.uk design system for back office systems. So gov.uk is primarily focused on front end or sort of customer facing systems. And we've done a lot of work to make that work for back office users, or what you might call professional users, people doing the same thing every day. Anyone that's interested in developing new products and services in planning, but also, as Ed's been talking about, any teams or companies that want to use the BOPS open source code to develop their own services. So we're making all this learning available to them. Next slide, please. So here are some of the things we're sharing, and I'll show you in a minute where we're sharing them. Our design principles. So these are set principles around how we've learned to design for really transformation at scale, particularly thinking about back office users in public services. We're sharing some of our service patterns. So I'll show you those in a minute and explain what they are. Some of the methodology and the ways of working that we've developed over the past few years. We're also sharing some of our decks, our research insights, playback decks, our learning from all that work. And we haven't got it on yet, but we want to have a little acknowledgements section that will acknowledge, as Ed said, all the many people who've contributed to this work since we started. So I'm just going to take over sharing for a moment. So for anyone who has not been there, you can have a look at the BOPS website at bops.org.uk. and we can share a link from that in the chat. There's everything you need to know about BOPS is on there, but today I'm just going to show you the resources section. So here you can find out about technical information, how to get started with BOPS. You can see our demo videos, but what I'm talking about today is the design history and pattern library. So in here, we're working on this at the moment, so there's more to come. This is the bit that we'll be building out. We have a pattern library. So when we're talking about patterns, we're talking about reusable end-to-end journeys or major interactions that guide users through completing a significant task or a goal. So it's something that people do over and over again within the system. Rather than designing that fresh every time we design a new feature, we say, well, is the planning officer doing this thing somewhere else? Can we replicate that pattern? Can we make it a really consistent experience? So we've only shared 2 patterns at the moment, which are reviewing applications and sidebar navigation. But in there, if anyone's used the gov.uk design system, you'll see a similar thing. We explain what that pattern is, when you can use it, when you shouldn't use it, what components are used, with some examples. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling a bit fast because I just want to get to the bottom, but there's a bit about showing you how it's different from the gov.uk task list, in this case, the task list pattern, which is the pattern that we adapted to build this one. So it's just for anyone that's used to the gov.uk design system, we'll make it really clear how we built on that. We also give a bit of detail about the research and testing we did to create this pattern and how that feels for planning officers. So we'll be building that library up and you should see a lot of those patterns in here. If anyone wants to chat about any of them, please just get in touch with us. In there as well, we've also got a bit about our methodology, as I said, and as I said, some of our user research and reports. And I think that is it from me, and I am passing over to Fede.
Cool. Let me unmute myself.
To share for you, Fede.
Oh, yes, that'd be great. Thanks. Cool. Hi, everyone. So for those who might not know me, I'm Fede. I'm one of the designers in working on BOPS. So you may or may not be familiar to BOPS, but BOPS really works across various channels. There's obviously the main back office system that case officers use, but there's also emails that go out to applicants or consultees. There's public facing forms, there's notifications. So in a way, it can be quite hard to see the full picture of how all of that fits together without actually going through the whole workflow yourself. So we've been using a tool called Storybook. If you're not familiar with it, it's pretty much an open source. It's typically used for documenting individual components. For example, buttons and forms and kind of to document their different states. But in this case, we've put it in kind of sort of as tasks and workflows that case officers would go through in BOPS. So you can see all the outputs, so every step, every channel, and all in one place, without needing to set up, the environment and running the application. So we originally set it up for the team to look at pages and kind of the various states in isolation, but it just turned out to be really useful for documentation too. So we've been using it to capture how things work end to end. So a step-by-step journeys, showing who does what and in what order, what every screen looks like at each stage, and really just leaving behind something that anyone can pick it up and just go browse through and understand what's been built. I'm gonna share my screen and kind of give you a demo. Hopefully. Sure. Can you confirm if you can see my screen? Oh, okay, great. Okay, so this is it. This is Storybook. So I'm gonna give a quick it's fully documented in terms of the main stages of how BOPS works. I'm just going to give one example of a particular task that BOPS has as part of the workflow. So for example, if we have the planning permission, we have an overview of the steps. And then if we go to consultation, for example, we can go to press notice. And in every stage or every task, you have this journey documentation. So you can see a step-by-step process of what happens. For example, if the case officer selects no, whether the application requires a press notice. So everything is conditional, right? So in this page, it kind of gives you an overview of what happens. And you can see here, for example, the email preview of what you would receive, every single stage, right? So confirming the press notice, and so on. So all of this, it's still a work in progress. So once we kind of finalize everything in BOPS, we will update that. But the link is there if you want to have a look at it. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Sharon.
Any questions, any comments? No, everyone's quiet today. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our agenda. It's quite a light agenda today because not everybody was available. So yeah, we've got a little bit of time back. The next show and tell is the 22nd of April. I will share a link to the sign up form if anybody doesn't have the calendar invite and needs it in their calendar. But yeah, massive thank you to Ed, Laura, and Fede for sharing. And yeah, have a great day, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye. Are you stuck in, Tom? Do you need me to try and kick you out?
Hi, Celia. Could you grab, I don't know if you were able to get the email address of Pidgesh or some way of contacting them. I can't see them on the Slack, on the ODP Slack. I was just going to respond to their question. Or if you can give them my details, then I'm happy for them to email me.
Yeah, I can send you the email address. It's someone from DEFRA.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye, Celia.